Hello and welcome everybody. I want to welcome Sophie Griffith to the group. Hey Sophie.
Hello.
Sophie is an absolutely awesome Facebook ads strategist and coach, like how I bigged you up there. And she's also the associate coach within Amplify. She helps all of my clients to run their ads because one of the most important things you need to do when you shift from one-on-one to a group program, and then when you're interested in scaling that group program, is upping your lead flow. So we're going to be chatting today about the role that ads can play in your marketing, who it's for, what you need to consider, what it costs, and all of those questions that seem ridiculously hard to find out when it comes to ads. If you've got any questions as you watch this, just drop them below and we will make an effort to answer them. So Sophie came to me last year, and you were running very successful business, the Social Pod. You've been running that for 6 years, and you'd grown your one-on-one to the point where there wasn't much else. Like you can go another direction without hiring a team to like do some of the work, and you wanted to create a group program. So Sophie went through Amplify, created Bloom, her
Yeah,
awesome group program that she's got 7 people starting in that tomorrow.
I
We've
do.
already
Yeah.
done a couple of cohorts into that, or not cohorts,
This is my fifth.
your
Fifth intakes, I call them. Yeah.
fifth intake.
Yeah.
So your fifth, yeah, intake's a great word, isn't it? Fifth
Yeah, I like to
intake,
think
fifth
so.
round
Yeah.
into Bloom. And what we now have in Amplify, which is like my dream, is a pathway created by Sophie on how to implement ads in your business. Because one of the massive challenges when it comes to ads is you guys are really expensive to work with.
I know. We know our value.
But that
Yeah.
stumbling block is often that I find the reason people don't do it, because learning ads yourself is really hard unless you have someone doing it alongside you, and hiring someone to do it for you is like that done for you higher price. So your camera, by the way, is like going back and forward. Like, is it auto zooming,
Oh,
Sophie?
is it? Oh, sorry. I don't know how to
I
stop
don't know how
that.
we can stop that, but don't worry.
No, sorry. I'll try and sit really
Um,
still.
but anyway, before we get into it, I would love it if you could introduce yourself, tell everyone your background, how you got into your specialism, and how you support people in Amplify.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I originally my career was very much in corporate life. I was marketing, customer service for companies like British Airways. Then I had a baby and decided that was probably a little bit too much, and retrained as a social media manager. And then it kind of evolved from there. I had grew my business. I always have worked a lot in training and supporting people, like learning things themselves. That was always a massive passion of mine. I always had big teams in my corporate world, so I always naturally gravitated much towards like more the training side of it. So yeah, did lots of training and supporting small businesses to grow. And then during COVID, I had a baby, second baby, and decided that I would really niche into Facebook ads. So I niched into Facebook ads. And then, yeah, like you said, I had lots of lovely management clients where I managed the ads for them. But I always really felt, oh, yeah, you're right, my face is really weird. I always really felt really disconcerting. Um, but yeah, you're right. There was a massive barrier to ads, and actually, um, ads can help businesses at all stages. You don't have to be, scaling massively, spending loads. And it felt like until a business could spend quite a lot of money on ads, they were just completely inaccessible. So that's when I started to pivot and work with smaller companies and training them to run them themselves. I did that quite a lot one-to-one initially alongside my management clients. And then that's when I started Amplify and really wanted to bring that into more of a group program, a more structured approach. So yeah, I launched Bloom in September in like just gone, 2022, yeah. And it's gone incredibly well. And I'm helping all sorts of different businesses, all service based, to specifically grow their email list using Facebook ads and grow their social media as well. And then in Amplify, that's what I do. So partly the my big bugbear is that it's not about the size of your audience necessarily, whether that's small or big. It's about the fact that you have to grow it month in, month out. And that's really what I saw a lot of, even for me to begin with. And once you move to group programs, you have to get into that mentality of you're bringing new people into your world all of the time, like especially if you want to run Evergreen. And to rely on organic is a huge pressure on yourself. It's, you know, you have to be consistent day in, day out, you know, making like creating content and like having partnerships. It's such a huge pressure when you're trying to build a program, run a program, enroll new people on the program, do your marketing, live a life, have kids. And it just felt like for me and for a lot of my clients, it's like I was never off. Like if I didn't post on Instagram one day, it was, oh my God, is that going to cost me a client this month? You know, am I going to, you know, is my reach going to dip? Is Instagram going to, you know, punish me if I go on holiday for a week and decide not to post on Instagram? And that's really where Facebook ads have this huge benefit, because they are running 24/7, whether you're working or not. And that's what I help my clients and people in Amplify to do.
And I want to pick up on something you said there. You said, like, if you want to run a group program, you have to be growing your audience month on month. And this is a thing I think people, I don't know if they forget or they just fully haven't realized, like, that yes, you might have the right people in front of you, and they may reach out, but often they're not ready now. And it's the, I hate this expression, but you can give me a better one. Like, it's the new blood coming in. It's
Mm,
the fresh leads that, one, give you energy and momentum. Two, they just create movement in your business, like new
yeah,
people coming in and responding to your emails and having conversations with you. If you stagnate, you get into this thing of, well, I'm emailing my list and I'm speaking to my Instagram followers or I'm speaking in my Facebook group. No one's responding. And then we go down this mindset, like spiral of,
yeah,
no one needs what I have, what I've created is rubbish, no one
yeah,
wants it. And for me, like, all of those problems always comes back to lead flow.
yeah,
And I only have one or two clients that bring in enough leads organically. And that is because either they are absolutely crushing a partnership strategy or
yeah,
they've gone like viral on TikTok. And it's
yes,
the exception to
absolutely.
the rule. It's not the rule.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, you know, arguably, even then, like, you know, you could really leverage that with an ad strategy on top of that as well. Like, um, and I think just picking up on what you said there about, you know, always bringing new people into your world, it's so important because you just need that flow. Otherwise, if you don't keep, and this is what I see all the time, is that people have, they get that real sweet spot of that warm audience, the people that follow them on social media, and they, you know, and they chat to them and they have them on their email list. But if you're not kind of filling that top part of the funnel, then that warm leads get smaller and like the whole funnel gets smaller and you just exhaust your leads really quickly. And that's what I see with a lot of clients, is they have this like audience exhaustion, if you like, where they might run like one or maybe two really successful group program cohorts, but they get to the third and it's like, okay, everyone in my list who is ready is kind of bought from me already, and like, and now what? And if you get to that point and then start with your ads, it's going to be a really, like, that's what you've got to build in, that factor, that time, because it takes a good couple of months then to then get people in and nurture them and get them on calls. Like, you've kind of got to be thinking a few months ahead, not at the point you need the clients.
100%. And this is like useful to share some metrics around this that I talk about in Amplify. Like around 10%, 3 to 10% of a new, like, of people coming in are ready to take action with you there now, which means
Yeah,
90% aren't, right? 90%, well, we actually figure out this metric in Amplify. We look at how long typically until people buy from you, because it varies niche to niche. If you're a
yeah,
baby photographer, people buy from you fast. Baby's a baby, only for so long. I need a baby photographer. If you're a coach in this dark industry of, do I trust you online, that's typically going to be like 4 to 6 months before people are going to be confident enough and trust you enough to buy from you. And therefore, your ad strategy needs to be feeding those leads before you need them so that you have time to nurture them.
yeah,
I feel like what I want to touch on is this mindset people have. Like, we hear this a lot in Amplify, and I spend a lot of time basically shifting this mindset. I can't afford ads right now. I need to get to X point before I start ads.
yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how you deal with this, say in Bloom or with your clients. What do you say to them?
Yeah, I mean it's a really big one because it feels like a massive commitment, doesn't it? Like, organic is free. It feels like, I can just go and put a post on Instagram and like it's just my time. I mean, partly I talk to my clients about this challenge around your time is not free. And therefore, you need to be factoring how much time you are doing content creation and all the other stuff. But I also totally get it. It's money coming out the bank that you probably could pay yourself, like otherwise. The thing I talk really about is A, they're probably not as expensive as you think they're going to be. B, people say, how much will Facebook ads cost me? It's like, let's just reframe that to you are in control about how much you are spending. Facebook ads do not cost you. It's not like buying a laptop. Like you can spend £5 a day, £10 a day for 2 weeks and then turn them off. You could spend, or you could have an always on campaign that was like £8 a day that was always running. I mean, ultimately, what I really try and encourage clients to look at is the bigger picture. So if you were spending £10 a day on Facebook ads, that's £300 a month, and let's say you're getting 5 leads a day, so it's 150 leads a month or emails a month, and you convert one or two of them, how much is that worth to you? And that will be worth different things to different people. Like for some people that will be worth thousands, other people that will be worth hundreds. And so you've got to work out what's your number. Like if I converted one of those and that got me, I mean, one of my clients charges £6,000 for her services. So she only needs to get a client like once a year to make her ads like worthwhile. Obviously, she's getting a lot more than that. But if you're charging £300, you could get 2 clients and cover your costs completely. And it's really putting it in perspective that it's an investment and it's a marketing strategy. But I guess it's just around the reason why it's so amazing that Amplify has the support, and what I do with my clients in Bloom is that there is a real mindset thing of once you've got them on and you're spending money, if you don't see the results straight away, like, oh my God, it's costing me £8 a lead, or I'm not really sure this is working, like having someone to ask for help is a massive bonus, because a lot of what happens then is people just turn them off. And then it's costing me too much, like £5 a lead is too much. It's like, but is it? Because if you turn them off, you're going to get no leads at all. And then where are you going to get your clients from? So, but often I can help you
100%.
get that down.
So
Yeah.
I often say, like, whenever I chat one-on-one to people that are struggling with their lead flow and Amplify, and they're like, I can't afford ads. And I'm like, cool. So you have to bring in 100 leads a month regardless.
Hmm.
So what are you going to do? And like, what would you need to do organically to bring them in? And they're like, well, I don't have the time to do that. No, they're the two options. You either go in
Yeah.
and bring them in organically, or you need to do ads. Otherwise, we're going to be having the same conversation in 2 years' time where you're like, I haven't got clients. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't fix the lead flow problem. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a like, if I don't do ads, like I'm not going to do ads because I can't afford it. You then have to have a viable organic strategy. Otherwise, what you are literally choosing is not to have clients. And this is like, so the reality of what you'd have to do organically in this, anti-hustle culture we're in. Don't work too hard, guys. I went on a bit of a rant the other day in an Amplify call on this. This anti-hustle, work-life balance, don't work too hard. Would you want to make money? Because organic strategy that actually works probably does have a level of hustle in it.
Hmm.
That's why I use ads, because I don't
Yeah.
have to hustle and you can have it on all the time.
Yeah.
And that thing that you said of like, it's an investment, and often people just see the cost up front. Whereas what you actually need to calculate is in 3 months' time, if you don't run ads and you still don't have clients, what's that costing you? Like,
Yeah.
what's the cost? What's the money you don't have in your bank account versus like putting the money up front and seeing those leads drop into your email marketing software.
Yeah.
Um, to
Just to say as
question,
well, so sorry, go on. I was just going to say, when I find is suddenly my clients get it is when their whole view of how they're running their business shifts. And I think that's what often happens in Amplify as well as you go through the program. Like it's a line on your, as a CEO of your business, it's a line on your sheet of marketing, Facebook ads. I'm also investing in what do I pay for? I don't know, Zoom and Canva. And it's these costs that come through your business. And once you start, I mean, we've talked about this before, like profit first, and once you bake that into your business and you know that you can still then pay yourself and you can still it feels so much more visible and planned. Where I find people find it really hard is when they're not in control of their finances and it just feels like lots of money is going out and they're not
yeah,
clear about where it's coming back in. So I feel like that's a journey people kind of go on as they go through ads and Amplify as well.
100%, because you've got to get your model right, like what offer structure do you want, then you have to get your marketing right, and then we want to automate some of the marketing with ads. And I think this is
Yeah,
where people waste money, is they're like, it's not working, I'll set up ads, but they didn't have the offer and the message right in the first
yeah,
place. And that's why, like, ads in Amplify is like, we create the offer first, we create the organic marketing first, and then it's like, now you need more eyes, now, like, this is a great time to slot in ads.
yeah.
um Okay, so question for you. Do you need to already have an audience to start and like be doing lots of organic marketing before you suggest people move to ads?
So um, it helps, but no. So some of my clients don't do any social media. Some of my clients have started literally from scratch. What is helpful really is a really core understanding of your ideal client and when they're likely to be wanting to buy from you. Like I always talk about, like, your lead magnet is one of the most important elements of your ads when you're running them to grow your email list. People are always really, really interested in like audience, building the audience and what the creative is going to look like. And I'm not sure about the copy, but honestly, it's the step before. Like you really need to understand that point that your clients are at when they want to buy from you, and getting really specific. Like a lead magnet for 5 ways to repurpose your content. Well, that's going to appeal to businesses whether they're earning £100 a month or £100,000 a month. But if you offer a £5,000 service that's a one-to-one and that helps people that are pivoting and scaling their business, that lead magnet needs to be 5 ways to repurpose your content. I don't know, so you can outsource it, or so you can pivot, or so you can scale. Like you need to get that super, super specific, and to that person who is scaling and thinking, shit, I haven't got time to do all this repurposing. So that is like really important. Is not really about where you are with your business. It's more about your understanding of your ideal clients and what they want and when they want it.
Yes. So this problem just had me create a new mini offer because, well, I
Oh,
know I'm going to do a little plug here because
go on.
I'd have sales calls, or my team members have sales calls with people, and they're like, I want to join Amplify, and we're like, but you're not ready because you haven't got an audience. You can't join. You're not going to get the leads for a group program until you grow your audience. But they're like, but I can't grow my audience because I'm not clear enough on my message. And it's like this chicken and egg situation where people are like, I really want to be there, but I can't get this first piece right. And
Yeah,
until you get that first piece, like this is why, like I say, like join Amplify at the point you have a one-on-one service that is selling, or a cohort group program that is running, and now you want to turn it evergreen. Don't join to try and figure out every piece of the puzzle, because one, it's too high investment for that to be worth it. Like join at the point you're ready. So my new little one-on-one offer is called the Authority Blueprint, and it's like a super quick thing where we get clear on the niche, the message, and then we go test it for 90 days, because that's where people spend years with this vague message that doesn't grow an online audience because it's not specific enough. And it's the same thing with ads. If you go to ads with a
yeah.
vague message, you're going to end up, even if you get really cheap ads, with an audience that's so huge that they don't even need what you offer.
Yeah. And I mean, just to further plug your offer, um, I had lots of experience in Facebook ads, but I was really broad. So when I came to Gemma, I was parent and baby brands was my niche. But in terms of actually the ads that I did e-com ads, I did email marketing, I did sales, I did literally any kind of ad. And when we were looking at my group program, it took me a time and a little bit of persuasion and a little bit of like coming to terms with it. But I had to niche, because actually ads that a service business would use versus ads that a e-com business would use are different. And from the point of September when I niched and really honed my messaging, honed my marketing, like have become an expert within my area, my course has like done amazingly, but also my income has, like, I don't know, it's like 10 times, I think, like almost. It's absolutely incredible when you get that right, just how much of an impact it has, and how much easier it is for people to refer people to you and for you to talk about what you do. Yeah, it's made an incredible difference. So getting that piece right first is so key.
And like, it's so easy. And if I speak back to a conversation we had when you were choosing your niche, to freak out and go generalist, because it was
Yeah,
like, this is so niche, like there's not going to be enough people that want it. What if I just give people general marketing?
yeah,
And that is what I think is the, when you see the people in front of you and you panic that you haven't got enough, that seems logical. Let's widen the net. And if the net's wider, more people will jump on board. What you actually end up doing is making all of your marketing very hard, because how do you cast a wide net with a lead magnet? It has to be something super general, like that 5 ways to repurpose your content. And then we cross our fingers and hope that they need the program that comes out at the end of it. Whereas if you
Yeah.
have the courage to niche and you do the work to get specific on what people will pay you more for and what you're excited to specialize in, then the ads become easy, your messaging becomes easy, and the program will deliver great results as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so this is a question so many people ask about ads, and you've talked about it a little bit already, that you can control the cost. Like,
Mhm.
how much do ads really cost? Like, what's the minimum you would ever put into an ad campaign? Obviously, maximum's irrelevant, but
Well, I mean, that's like hundreds of thousands. Yeah, so there's different types of campaigns have different types of budget. So what I'm working with in Bloom at the moment, when everyone starts within the first few weeks, they set up an engagement campaign, and that is because although I'm real advocate of not just relying on your social media, it's still a really core part of most people's strategies. And there is just nothing more depressing than spending a lot of time on content creation and no one really seeing it,
yeah.
and your reach being crap, and and just kind of waiting on the algorithm to see if it's going to kick in. So we set up engagement ads, and they are really, really focused on getting your kind of core content, like content that really talks about what you do to your ideal clients, out to people who are potential ideal clients. And all we want them to do is like, comment, share, potentially follow you. So it's just a really good way of getting more eyes on your social media. It also really, I mean, A, it helps your motivation and confidence, and B, it really helps Facebook understand who your ideal clients are, because the more Facebook understands that, the cheaper your leads are going to be, and the easier it's going to be for Facebook to then find people that are going to give you their email address. So we do that first, and they can be run from like £2 a day. Like £2 a day can like happily run on an engagement campaign. I always have mine on for between £2 or £3, and it just keeps everything ticking over. Then lead ads, and they're the ones where you're going to grow your email list. I mean, it really depends on your niche. Like I've got parent clients who their audience is parents, so it's quite broad. A lot of them are, let's say like a sleep coach, or someone who helps you with trauma, or all sorts of different things, support with their children, and they're getting leads from anything from like 30p. So you could spend £5 a day and still get like a lot of leads for 30p if each one's costing you 30p. If you're more B2B, like if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, or you're going for a more business audience, your leads are going to more likely to cost you between like £2 and £3. And so the reality is, to get like a reasonable number every month, you need to be spending more like £8 to £10, because if they're costing you, let's say £2.50, because I can do the maths on that, then and you spend £10, you'll get four email addresses a day. That's 28 a week. So you're looking at like 100, 110 a month, basically.
And can
And
I just add, you then have to counteract that with the unsubscribes you get from emailing a month. So that number can
yeah,
often be more like 50 rather than
yes.
like 150, which can be a little bit demoralizing if you're not putting that much money into it.
Yes, and I think that's where and this is why I only work with clients now for a minimum of 3 months, because we have to go through that cycle of getting people on, like how high is the unsubscribe rate, how many people are booking calls with you, when you're putting a workshop on, how many of these leads are actually booking on, and getting in touch with you, and we can work on that, and then okay, maybe the audience isn't quite right, or maybe we need to work on the messaging.
Yeah.
But it's an endless cycle of making them better and better. But from a finance perspective, if you're B2B, I would be looking at between £8 and £10 a day,
Nice.
for
That's
lead
a
ads.
great, and like one thing I just want to pull out that you just said is like different audiences cost more.
Mm,
And typically it aligns with the price point that you're selling the services at as well. So like, to just give everyone some like real life data, we just ran ads for Serve at Scale School that starts tomorrow. That's my 3-day workshop series. Now it's a free workshop series all around scaling your business from that 3 to 5k to kind of 10 to 20k with a group program. Now, these leads come in much more expensive than my lead magnet, because I'm asking people to commit to 3 days. What's it like, 1 hour a day for 3 days workshop series. So the commitment is higher. So our leads, instead of being between £2 or £3, which they normally are, were £9 a lead. Add in bank holidays, which
mm.
disrupted
Bank
all of
holidays have been
our
brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of our ad campaigns. But So say I spend, I think we've brought in, I don't know, over 100, say between 100 and 150 leads, spending about a grand, right? Now you
Yeah.
might think, well, that's not a lot of leads at £9 a lead. But if one person buys my program, that's entirely worth it. And if over the next 6 months, those 120 people were perfect fit people and they stay on my email list, engage with me, then more are going to buy. And that 1 grand on Facebook ads becomes such an obvious step for me because I am lazy. I hate social media and I don't want to do a ton of organic marketing because it just takes so long. So I'm such a big fan of ads, and like what I love about Sophie's program and the structure we've set up in Amplify is you can make ads accessible before you feel like you're at that income level where you should really be spending on ads. Because I remember a coach telling me like you got to get to 10k a month before you automate with ads. I had that in my
Yeah.
brain for ages.
Yeah.
Um, but if someone had said, here's a program, you can do it for 200, £300 a month, no brainer.
Yeah. And I think as well, I read in like various like Facebook groups and that sort of thing. Someone will say like, oh, how much should I put aside if I want to do ads? Like, and like people come back with things like, oh, you'll need a minimum of 3K, and it's like, but no, you don't. You absolutely do not. And ultimately, the goal really is for them to be running or at a level all the time. They're safe ads. Like what I help people with is like ads that feel safe, that don't feel like they're keeping you awake at night. Like where ads get a bit of a bad rep is like where you've got the launch culture
Yeah.
and you've got like 3 launches a year and you've got to hit your numbers. And people say, I've had a 100K launch. If you understand the background of that, they've probably spent 50K on ads.
Yeah.
The stress, like I know some ads managers that specialize in this, but the stress, if your ads are not coming in, if they're coming in higher than predicted, like you don't know if that ad campaign has worked until after the fact. Like that is just it. If they haven't worked, you haven't made the money. Whereas with like an evergreen group strategy and like these ads that I do that are this low level, consistent, supportive to your business, it's much less about that kind of high octane, like, spending 10K on ads and hoping that you make more. It's much more about like sustainable. And also just because I know there's a lot of parents in your audience and like I have young kids, school holidays,
Yeah.
running your ads over school holidays is a massive thing for a lot of my clients because they know they can drop down hours, they can work less, they can post on Instagram less. And I know from previous experience as well, like I've kind of paused my business for 6 weeks over summer. And when you start again in September, it's like starting from scratch, picking up the algorithm again, finding leads that were warm 6 weeks ago, but probably aren't so warm anymore. Whereas what Facebook ads can do is you can run them through the summer holidays and people will be joining your list, going through your welcome sequence, hopefully booking calls in with you so that when you start in September again, you're like back on it and it feels like you're just going back into a warm business rather than starting again.
100%. And there's something very energy giving about the numbers going up. Like
Yeah.
I hate that ConvertKit, which is the email marketing system I use, shows you unsubscribe when you log in. And like all of the graphs, your number of subscribers are down by 20% today, and you're unsubscribed. I don't want to see that. Show me
No.
the growth. Show me the
Yeah.
growth. But like the numbers going up, and I can see like when I started taking my ad strategy seriously about probably like a year and a half ago, it was like very steady growth, and then it's like consistently up. And I email a lot. If you're on my email list, you'll know I email a lot. So my unsubscribe rate, it's not high, it's very low for the industry average. But when you're dealing with big numbers, that number's still high. A low number is still seeing, like if it's a sales email, I might have 20 people, between 10 and 20 people unsubscribe. And you're like,
Oh,
that's a lot to do. So if you're emailing regularly, you have to counteract that. And we don't want to slow down with our message and our marketing. Okay, so you've already mentioned a couple of different things ads can help with. One is like building authority and like getting
yeah,
more eyes on the content you're creating, that engagement campaign, which costs less. And then
yeah,
we've got more of a conversion campaign, like let's get new people on your list or get warm people to take another action, for example.
yeah.
What do people need to do if they want to get started with ads?
So fundamentally, you need to have a Facebook business page. So it can't just be a personal page. You need to have some kind of email system. So MailerLite, you can't just be using your Gmail. They're the kind of, in terms of tech, like they're the absolute basics. And then some kind of way of making like an image, like in Canva or something like that. Like the actual tech requirements are really minimal. Everyone has access to Ads Manager. And so you'd need to set that up. And then, like, from a more are they going to work perspective, you need a lead magnet that is dialed into your ideal clients. And then you'll need to write copy and create an image to then create an ad, and get out there. And people always think that a audience is really the audience you choose is really important, and it is to a point, and it will be more important if you are a local business. So I work with some like hypnobirthing teachers where they run in person, so like their location is really important. We do have to build their audiences quite carefully. But if you are UK wide, you're online based, we're going to take some really high level audience interest, and we're going to let the algorithm do most of the work. And that's why having a really dialed in lead magnet is, again, it's so important. I can't impress this point enough, because Facebook will find you more of the people that engage with it and react, because Facebook wants you to spend money. It wants you to give you good results. So if you get loads of people clicking on your lead magnet and downloading it, Facebook will be like, these are the people, let's go after them. And if you've got a really broad lead magnet, or one that doesn't actually lead into your services, you're just going to be taking Facebook down the wrong path, and it's going to be learning the wrong thing, and it's going to be even harder then to like pull it back and kind of go in a different direction. So yeah, you need your tech set up, you need your lead magnet, and then you just need and then you need your welcome sequence, because the thing you've got to remember is people coming onto your list will have just seen an ad and had your lead magnet. Like, they are like probably the kind of some of the coldest audience you're ever going to come across. They haven't watched a masterclass, they haven't been on your Instagram, they haven't generally, haven't had any experience of you. So you need to, that welcome sequence needs to be really honed in to warming them up to you, making sure they know what you offer, and creating a connection. Like, I always advocate linking out to videos, making sure there's some way of them seeing your face, making sure they get on your social media. Like, how can you create a connection with them relatively quickly?
Love it. So, if you are considering ads, just to recap, like, one thing you really need to be clear on is your ideal client and who you're actually targeting. The more specific you are, the more specific your lead magnet, the higher quality your leads will be coming out of that. It's pretty basic tech to get set up, but you do need that lead magnet and that welcome sequence come out. And when I say basic tech, it's incredibly complicated unless someone's walking you through it. It's not like, go in and all the buttons are super obvious. It's actually horrendously not like that, and they seem to change it all the time. So just as you've got very confident, unless you've got someone like Sophie beside you, they change all of the buttons, and then you're Googling tutorials trying to figure out why it's changed. Don't let that put you off, though.
No.
There are 3 ways, by the way, if you want more on this, you can get help. If you are just wanting help with the ads piece, right, then Sophie is your go-to person. There's 3 really fantastic ways to work with her. She has a group program, Bloom, which literally holds your hand through setting it up. She has this wonderful hybrid offer where you're working one-on-one, and then she does them for you. So Sophie, go drop your details under this Facebook Live in the group.
I will.
If you are wanting help with the group program piece, I'm running Serve at Scale School. It starts tomorrow. It's 3 workshops where we're looking at, like, what's the model, right? That's the first piece we need, right? That we've been talking about. What's the model? Is it high ticket? Is it low ticket? Is it memberships? Then I'm going to convince you want to do my model, which is high ticket. And then if you stay with me to lesson 2, we're going to design your high ticket group. And then lesson 3, we're going to look at evergreen marketing and sales into it, which includes Facebook ads. If you have the budget, right? There's other routes, but that's a route we recommend. So that's Serve at Scale School. I'll drop the link for that. What am I selling at the end? Well, I'm always selling Amplify. It's my core group program that helps people scale their group program in an evergreen fashion, so we do not have to rely on launches. If you join Amplify, you get to see the wonderful Sophie on a monthly basis, who helps you with your ads, and she's an absolute joy to work with. So thanks, Sophie, so much for sharing today. I hope you found that useful, everyone. If you have any questions that have come up, just drop them in the comments. I'll come back later and make sure they're answered, and chat with Sophie if I need Facebook ads specialist knowledge to answer them. If you have watched, I'd love to know your insight. Like, what's one thing you learned useful to us to know, kind of what you took away from this live. See you later, everyone.
Bye.